Welcome, everybody. We are here on site in sunny Palm Springs, California with Brandon Bain, CEO and founder of Bedhead Marketing. He has quite a story. He's going to go through a little PTSD, I think, in telling the story because he had so many scary moments in growing his now highly successful business. But you can't miss this one. The Nothing Else Mattress Show starts now. When we started out, it was just about providing for our families while being in the driver's seat of our careers. I started in the mattress industry in 1999, and when I left the corporate world and Joe and I opened the Big Mattress Outlet in 2012, we could never have dreamed how rewarding business ownership would be for us.
My only regret is that we didn't do this sooner. I was terrified to make that jump, to leave the comfort of the corporate environment. As the old saying goes, I can promise you, the parachute's never gonna open if you first don't jump.
We've built a proven business model that's unique in the industry. It's profitable year after year, even through fluctuating markets and economies. We want to work with like-minded entrepreneurs who, like us, don't mind a little hard work, but want to own something that goes beyond just providing for our families financially. It offers exponential growth and profit opportunity, not to mention just a great culture and a really fun industry.
If you think you might be a fit, we'd love to talk to you.
Good morning, Brandon. Good morning. Everyone, we are here in Palm Springs, California. Beautiful, sunny place. We're welcoming Brandon Bain to the Nothing Else Mattress Shows. Brandon is the CEO and founder of Bedhead Marketing, which is an awesome company. We're going to let him tell you all about it. But Brandon is an entrepreneur and has a little bit different story. He had a bunch of scary moments. I love your story. I just want to dive right into it and back up to several years ago and kind of how you give us a brief overall of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I'm, kind of going to go through the PTSD here of reliving some of these moments. But I started off graduating high school, and I was accepted as the first ever sales intern for a corporate mattress firm in the country. And they had a really cool program where you get to learn about all the ins and outs of the business, and then they put you on the sales floor and train you. And I won that program. I got to take a Silver Dream Posturepedic bed back to college, and that was amazing. I kind of got the bug. But I was going to school to learn real estate law. I got my real estate license when I was 18 years old, put myself through college that way, and was in philosophy because that was the de facto pre-law program for Texas A&M. They didn't have a pre-law program. And I took the LSATs, and then after I took the LSATs, I'm like, this is not what I want to do. It turns out there's a lot of just paperwork pushing for like real estate law, and that's really not my personality if you know me.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So after I graduated, I went back to a mattress firm, and that's where I met Mikey and Ciso, and we ran the Galleria location, which was like high end, people coming in with luxury vehicles, like just luxury level price points, and I was a poor college kid, just got out, and Mikey and Ciso had been doing well. And I learned how, the sales process through him. And then after working with him for about 6 or 7 months, I think it was, I got paired up with Stephen Ferguson, and that's where we met. He was running the #1 location in the country. And I got to train under Stephen, and we developed a friendship and said, one day we're going to open a mattress business together.
Yeah.
And 15 years later, we did it, but we didn't open it the way we thought we would.
But here you are.
But here
Stephen's
we are.
a legend in the business. I mean, it was awesome to get to. He's a personal friend as well, but we'd love to have him on the show sometime. But yeah.
No, come on.
I know he will. Yeah, you know what? When Stephen comes in, I'll just be like, here, you just talk for like 30 minutes or whatever. I'll just sit over here. Floor is yours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, we can all talk. That's an industry that lends itself to talking a lot.
That's for sure. No one's ever wondering what we're thinking.
That's right.
We're usually pretty upfront. So after I worked with Stephen for a little bit, I was actually called to open up an IT network security company. It was an Italian company that we wanted to open up. Yeah, and we basically grew for almost 10 years that I ran it, and I was a partner, and I exited that and went into selling. I went to this company called Voltron Motors, which was owned by Tyrese Gibson from Fast and Furious 8. Okay. And we sold these like JK Jeeps, the ones that like you pull the tops off and all that. Okay. But we turned them into monsters, right? We turned them into like $200,000, $300,000 vehicles. and sold those. So
Well, talk about a diverse
it was a big
portfolio there.
change. It was a big change, but it was a lot more fun than selling network security. So I'll tell you that, like that was a
Yeah.
big change for me. I missed that sales process, and I was basically in corporate sales there. So I was essentially opening up dealerships,
Okay.
and I had been working on an account. Oh, okay. So this was the time where my wife was pregnant with twins, and just had the babies. We just moved into a new house that was like 3 times more expensive than the old house. And okay, yeah, now Tracy's not working because she's on maternity rest.
Sure.
And I'm working at this for this pro company, and I worked 4 months on this account, and this was going to be a $6 million minimum a year account that I landed. But when the first order came in, my company became insolvent and couldn't fill the order. So I lost a multi-million-dollar
no.
contract, and I'm like, okay, what are we going to do now? So
How are we gonna feed the babies?
how we gonna feed them babies? So yeah, I was
talk about scared?
I was scared. That was a holy crap moment. So, you know, I always said necessity is the mother of invention, and I had to figure something out. And Tracy's like, go get a sales job. You're a sales guy. Go get them. And I see a lot of people doing this and struggling with trying to get hired, and you may not stand out on paper very well, and it's just hard to get interviews. And I was going through this whole thing about it wasn't working. So I had a buddy who said, hey, if you open up a marketing agency, I'll be your first client. I'll pay you, several grand a month to get us started, and you do websites and all this stuff. You'll figure it out. And he was a directional drilling company, and he had one client. It was $1 million a year account. And the week that I started, after I signed up with my LLC and all that, he lost his only account. So I didn't even get one paycheck from this guy, and I opened up a whole business. So now I'm like,
one hit after another.
oh my gosh, what do I do now? So Tracy kind of had some doubts, kind of like, okay, you've never had a marketing position in your life. You never took a marketing class in your life. And I'm like, I can do it.
Mattresses, security,
I'll figure it out. Yes,
marketing.
yes. And at the time, I really loved doing like presentation decks, investor decks, pitch decks, that kind of thing. And I loved doing video editing. I was doing all kinds of fun video edits, and people would hire me for wedding videos and engagement videos. And I did some eulogy videos, and I was doing a lot of like video production stuff, learning on my own. I was also learning Photoshop and websites. And so I was starting to learn all the skills and tools that I needed to kind of know the trade. And I started knocking on doors and offering services, sometimes for free, like doing free virtual tours and stuff.
Yeah.
Like just to like show people that I have a portfolio of clients.
Yeah.
And it took about 6 months, but I had about 6 or 7 clients that were paying me on a monthly basis at that point.
Okay.
So I was starting to feel pretty good about myself, right?
Yeah.
Got something going on here. And it was around that point where I was introduced to a doctor who had invented like a knee scooter for people that, ride around with the ankle injury or something like that. But he had invented one where you can just kind of pull it up by one hand, like an ironing board.
Okay.
So it's real easy to move. And he said, well, how would you, market this? And I said, well, these are commoditized products. I would turn this into the Netflix of the industry and get them out to all the podiatrists and just have people lease them, right? And now it's just access, right?
Yeah.
It's on-demand stuff. And he's like, I love the presentation. How much would it take for me to be your only client? So I slid him that number. He's like, I can't afford that. But what if I had you for 3 days a week here, and then you had your business on the side, and you continue to run your business? So we did that. He paid me 6 digits, benefits. I got to work like spending a lot of his money on marketing and learning, and really for several years, just like understanding marketing at a deep level with a lot of power, especially in the medical industry. We even opened up some medical practices together where I co-owned with him. So we started developing a friendship there. But after about 3 years, my business got so big on the side that I no longer wanted that 3-day travel thing to be occupying my time. So I converted them into a client, and a digital only client. I reduced their cost by like 75%. And then I basically, it freed me up to go open up in all these new accounts, and my business doubled within the next year because I was now free, if you will, right? Yeah. So that is kind of how, because marketing kind of started getting going. Well, it turns out that during this time, this doctor, he owns a lot of like different things, like surgical centers and imaging centers and compound centers. One of the things he owns was a sleep center, a sleep lab. Okay. Right? So this is what kind of tie into sleep
we're full circle now.
So I pitched him this idea. I was like, hey, I was at Mattress Firm. What if we pitch this sleep certification program to Mattress Firm, where we will train all their salespeople to be like, honorary polysomnographers, where they understand like all the medical, things that happen with polysomnography and sleep apnea and reading the scans, so they can feel more confident in saying that I am an expert, not just understand products, right? And I got a group of people together. I got my buddy Ben Silverstein. I got Dr. Neville. I got the owner of the lab. I got the doctor of the lab. And then Stephen Ferguson introduced me to Mark Quinn. What's up, Mark Quinn? And Mark Quinn was real excited and asked for his brother to join, who was basically Steve Stagner's right-hand man at Mattress Firm as they were growing. And we spent 6 months on building this program, pitched it to Mattress Firm, right? The next week, Mattress Firm declares bankruptcy. And they would be doing no new programs. So we're like, okay, that's kind of stinks. But it was a good relationship building thing. And Mark Quinn and I became friends. And he started calling on me for different projects and stuff for his company at Sherwood. And sure enough, I was helping him build assets and pitch decks and videos and websites and close deals. He introduced me to Mark Kinsley, and we opened up accounts. And that's how I started working with these mattress companies from Because Marketing. And it turns out they're like, hey, it's real easy to work with you. You know what you're talking about. The components. You know the industry. I don't have to explain crap to you. You just kind of get it. So it's easy. Well, at this point, Stephen Ferguson is at Mattress Firm and gets a Sherwood asset. And it's like, hey, who did this asset? I need to make a change, but this is really good. Who did this on our team? They have $1 million 3D team, right?
Of course.
So they go, oh, no, we didn't do this. This was Sherwood. He goes, no, Sherwood's looks like crayon, right? This is not Sherwood's asset.
Yeah.
Who did this?
Who's the person
exactly.
that did this?
He calls Pat O'Brien, and Pat's like, oh, that's Because Marketing. And Stephen had just lived in my house for probably 5 months before, because he was moving from Austin to Houston. And he goes, Because Marketing, Brandon Bain? My Brandon Bain? He calls me up, he's like, bro, you didn't tell me you were able to do this stuff. He's like, you're onto something. Can you make it change for me? So I had that change back the next day. And it blew his mind how fast that could be done. Most of the time, these changes take weeks for these companies, right?
Sure.
So he's like, hey, man, you're onto something. 6 months later, Stephen leaves Mattress Firm to join an aggregator, which is, basically they're buying and selling Amazon companies.
Okay.
And I take all my clients that are in the mattress category Because Marketing, and I open up Bedhead Marketing. I think at this point it's like $100,000 in sales a year. It wasn't huge, but I brought them all over. We created a dedicated company just for the mattress category. And Stephen and I co-owned it 50-50. And he kind of moonlighted while I worked the company. And after 6 months, it was just doing so well that it didn't make sense for him to not be full-time. For that 6 months, he didn't even tell people that he worked there. He wouldn't even put it on LinkedIn. It was hush, hush. But after 6 months, it's I have to do this. This is so good. Yeah. So 6 months later, that was 2022. And then we've just been growing ever since.
Yeah, and you guys are so good at what you do, and I love.
Thank you.
I love the evolution of the idea, even of how your business evolved, because there were some years there where you were kind of finding your way. You were in different industries, and then there's some aha moments. Talk about the moment, because I'm going back a minute to something you said where they were telling, the feedback you were getting is, hey, we don't have to explain stuff to you. The industry. Explain why that is so awesome in a marketing company, that you understand the industry you're servicing.
Well, and I recommend this for anybody I work with. This is a Kinsleyism, but the riches are in the niches, right? If you can niche down, right, it broadens up your appeal. You narrow in your scope and you broaden your appeal. But when you're working in this industry, there's a lot of people that know what we know that don't want to do what we do. They don't want to share the secret sauce, right? They're not like Prometheus stealing fire and giving it away. Hey, I know the secret formula. I'm going to go out and create my own bedding brand, and I want to keep that information locked tight, and we're going to become Purple, Nectar, Casper, Lisa, whatever. We're going to become this
marketing
massive
companies,
brand, right? Those are marketing companies that are really good at bedding, right? Yeah. So we decided that we wanted to help be kind of like a connective tissue between suppliers and manufacturers and retailers, and kind of be like a place where they all come to get support, because there's no one like us out there that basically gets you the silent cost of working with an agency that doesn't know what the industry's all about. They're going to learn on your dime. They're going to learn how things don't work the hard way, and it's going to cost you time, money, and you're going to have to explain stuff to them. We say that this industry is so nuanced, we would rather hire someone that knows mattresses and teach them marketing than vice versa. Yeah. That's how different our industry is. So yeah, we think it is a niche inside of a niche, right? we're bedhead. We're not automotive head. We can't go to another industry. Like, this is what we've niched in. So we got to be very good at what we do. We got to be very judicious and very concerned about maintaining our clients' privacy and maintaining our clients' IP and NDAs and things of that nature. We have a fiduciary responsibility to them because we can't ruin our reputation. They have to trust us, but we also are sort of this kind of the epicenter of everything that's happening. So because we can see all the things that are happening that other people don't have access to, we have more information to give in terms of what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, you can serve better.
Absolutely.
And so in any industry, you need a website. You're going to make your business successful. You're like, okay, one of the first things I need to build is a website. Maybe you're not great at building a website. Maybe you are, you just don't have time for it. So you hire a marketing company, and typically what that looks like is you then have to feed that marketing company all of your information. You basically have to write the descriptions for what you carry. You have to explain your industry. You have to explain what you do, because the people you hire to do your website, as an example, aren't in your industry.
Right.
So they can't write the stuff. They don't, like if you're in automotive or whatever, they can't write the verbiage. They don't know the lingo. They don't know what's happening in the industry. So you still, as a business owner, have to provide, like, the quality of your end result depends on the information you provide.
That's absolutely
The
right.
difference here is, you guys being mattress people, I can just explain to you my overall business model, products I carry, and you can take it from there, which is what you've done. I mean, you've done a great job on our website, Big Mattress Outlet.
Yeah. I think that, the website is the first impression zone, the new first impression
And that's just
zone.
one service you offer.
That's one of the things that we do. I think it's important that, it is hyper specific to the goals that you're trying to achieve. You and I talked, I was like, are we selling online? You're like, nope, like, we're not going to sell online. We're going to focus more our website on building trust and telling our story and getting people to know about our processes and understand how we merchandise and how you bring great value. So when you come in, like, you're going to have an experience like nobody else. We want to tell that story and really set the expectation high when they come in and stack the deck in our favor. Right. So they're coming in excited to save the money and get the best brands and meet the awesome people with all the videos that you guys do, which y'all do a great job. And everyone has their own approach to the website. Like, some people are like, hey, we just need to convert people online. We want this to be another store. And some people are like, I need to drive door swings. And other people are like, this is basically kind of a hybrid approach where we're trying to do both and serve both masters. So there's a lot of different ways to stack that. But websites are, we've done over 500 websites total. Like, Bedhead Marketing's done a lot less because it's only a couple years old. But we see a big need for being able to help people tell the story properly that, most marketing agencies don't have that ability.
Yeah, no, I love going back to where we first started our website. The length of that initial conversation was so key, because we talked, I don't know how long we talked, but it was a long conversation about our business, about who we are, what's our story, what's our goal. Like you were just saying, what do we want out of a website? But what you were really trying to understand is, how can you accomplish what we want using a website?
Right.
But what was great for me as a business owner is that I didn't have to write the content.
No.
I didn't have to do all the provide everything for you.
Absolutely.
All I do is paint that picture for you, verbally, and then you could execute.
And I'm proud and humbled to say that I was asking, I'm sure I asked you questions very specific that no other marketing agency would have asked, because I actually ran a clearance center. I understand the dichotomy between the retail and the clearance items, and that there's a unique approach to it, and that there's a way that you want to position this online and be very nuanced about how you speak about things. So I'm asking detailed questions that no one else would have ever asked. And
in our unique business, as you know, Big Mattress Outlet, we liquidate from some of the big name brands that people are familiar with. And I can say here, things like Sealy, Serta, Simmons, Beauty Rest, things like that. But on our website, I can't advertise those brand names and their prices. So you understood that, and you were able to promote what we do without breaking the rules, so to speak, of our dealer agreement.
Right. No, absolutely. No, I want to do that.
Yeah. But no, what you guys have built is just awesome. And so many in the industry. I mean, you've got such a great reputation. But in the spirit of what we talk about so much here on Nothing Else Mattress Show, despite we end up talking about mattresses a lot, it wasn't supposed to be a mattress show, but about entrepreneurship. But I want to really talk about, we kind of glazed over it a moment ago because you're like, I don't want the PTSD of going too much back in time, but you had some really scary moments before getting to where you are now. I mean, you're highly successful now, but talk about some of the fear there. You know, we talk about people taking a leap of faith, but how'd that work for you?
Yeah, and in my case, I was in a no other option moment in my life. Like, it wasn't like I was just going to sit back and say, well, let's just see what happens, because there's no money coming in, and I had to figure it out, you know, as the provider of income in my family. And so those moments were, you know, when you have your back against the wall, I think they're not just character building, but character revealing. And now, you know, I look back at the stress of that time, and that is a huge reference for me. So when times get stressful now, because we're overwhelmed with orders and getting production out and yada, 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 I'm like, I remember a time when it was stressful because the opposite was true, right? So you have that reference point. And when you've gone through something very difficult, it sort of gives you the muscles to be able to accept things in the future that are also going to be challenging. So I think that, you know, going through those grinds is an important, experience to have, to sort of, you know, understand that you're going to be okay, right? Keep your head up, figure it out, you know, take the next step. And then also, you know, however long you think it's going to take and however much effort you think it's going to take, you know, double it, triple it, right? Quadruple it. I always say entrepreneurship is great because you only have to work half days, any 12 hours of the day you want. Yeah. Right? That's all you have to do. If you end up stopping halfway through the day. But I think that when I ended up leaving my comfy, you know, salary position, that's where a lot of people are in life, is like, hey, I have an okay salary, I have a pretty good position. Yeah. But I want something great, right? Yeah. But that means leaving this nest, jumping out of the nest and like hoping that my wings are gonna fly. And that was the moment for me that was really anxiety driven, because I got to control my own destiny as soon as I was able to do that. But it meant giving up a lot, and my family giving up a lot. I did not make these decisions without my wife. Like, are you okay dropping 80 grand, you know, big percentage of our income for me to pursue the growth of this thing? Yeah. And she was like, hell yeah. Like, go.
Your wife's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Tracy multiple times. Yeah. You're so blessed.
Yeah, I am blessed. I've outkicked my coverage. But yeah, I think that those are the moments that people are in. Good is the enemy of great. And you don't have to kind of go all in at once like that, but you can, you know, start somewhere, right? Like, you know, I started building my business in the background kind of thing.
Which
until
happens
it was
that
ready.
way sometimes.
That happens. And sometimes you just got to take the plunge. It just depends on the situation.
It does. And you mentioned Stephen earlier was kind of doing this on the side with you. And then there was a point where he was losing by not doing it full time. Yep. So sometimes that's how it happens. It's like it becomes obvious that you got to do something full time. But no matter what it is you're doing, whatever it is you're building, I mean, I think the grit and the determination are such important parts of the story.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I don't care how great your idea is, the execution, even your execution, once you've executed a flawless business idea, which doesn't exist, but theoretically, you can't sit back on your laurels and be like, all right, cool, I've done it. I've made the jump. I've built a successful business. Here we are.
Right.
It's just not how it works. No. And you're highly successful now. Is that still how it works? I mean, you just sit back and go, oh, this is so great. I have what I've built now. Let's go sit at Palm Springs and not do anything.
I wish. And Tracy would wish that I can do that, because my odometer is always in the red or something. But I think that Anthony Robbins once said that the quality of your life is directly proportional to the amount of discomfort that you can comfortably live with, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's true for a lot of things, whether it's like, you know, trying new adventures and going and working out and pushing your body, and then also business and trying something new. And if you can live with the discomfort, then you're gonna have a pretty exciting life to be able to try these new things. And I think that I live in a constant state of, what would the next company look like that would put us out of business? What would they be doing? Right? How do I do that?
Yeah, there you go.
And, they would have this cool virtual room. They would have augmented reality glasses, and they'd be letting people buy in the metaverse or something, right? Like, they're changing the game. So we're always trying to think, what's the next big way that we can support our partners, both the retailers and the manufacturers, and what are the things that we can do to drive ROI? Because there's a lot of marketing agencies out there, Kelly. I know you know this, you've dealt with others before. It's where they just want to spend your money.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
what's your budget? Let's spend it, right?
Yeah.
And we really want that to turn into a long-term partnership. So we want to generate an ROI with everything. So that's kind of our focus is people will come to us and ask for stuff and we'll say, hey, can we ask what this is being used for? We don't want to just be order takers. We want to be a partner to help you get the most out of these things. So.
And I love that so much about that aspect of just who you are. And I think that stems from your character as an individual, but you also recognize that building the relationship is what is going to contribute to success. Mm-hmm. My husband Joe and I always say all the time that it's the relationships that we have, the people we surround ourselves with, that is what leads to our success. Nobody does this alone.
Yeah.
And so part of building the relationship and the trust, you mentioned several minutes ago that, there's a lot of trust involved, because you are doing something, providing a service that most of us aren't familiar with how it works.
Right.
So we kind of just trust that you're spending our budget wisely.
Right.
But I love that so many times I've come to you and said, hey, I want to do this thing. And you're like, I could take your money, but here's what I think is a better idea or a better use. And I love that because you're a true partner. You are actually vested in our success because if you provide the right ROI, then we're more likely to,
Yeah, and here's the deal. Imagine someone comes into your store and says, I want the blah, blah, blah bed.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of people that say, have a seat, I'll write it up for you.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of people that say, before we buy this, I want to make sure that I'm doing right by you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I care about you. And I want to make sure you are getting this for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And if you are, great. I'd love to sell it to you. Otherwise, let me make sure. So that's kind of how we are because we are confident in our expertise that we don't need your business, but we highly value it. Right? Yeah. It's not about need. It's about having the confidence that we are the experts and we want to deliver more than just taking an order. So, Brian Chechki once said, Airbnb founder, that it's better to have 100 clients that love you than a million clients that just like you.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So that's kind of what we are. And this is a very small industry. There's an electric fence around this industry. You know who the people are. And if you make a mistake or you're not doing right by people, it's easy to get ousted. You can be out like that. So we don't want that.
So true. And that's relatable even in our business because we are located in typically small towns, our big mattress outlet stores. And so, we have always said if you just take care of the person that's in front of you, and in your case, you take care of the company that you're working with, or it may be an individual, but if you really focus on the quality, then the financial aspect will follow.
Yes, ma'am.
But focus on taking care of the people. And speaking of people and relationships, we don't live here in Palm Springs. Like this is not the background.
Yeah, not a virtual background.
One of our houses. But we're here for a couple of events. You and I are part of a mastermind, and then there's a dream camp that follows it that's at the same location. But talk about, in our case, a mastermind, but just the value of surrounding yourself with people who you can build some trust with and who can kind of help you succeed.
Right. They say that you are basically a phenomenon of the 5 people you hang out with the most. I think that's another Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins. But yeah, like if you were hanging around 5 millionaires all day long, would you think that making $1 million is impossible? And you're like, no, like literally living in this reality where it's not only possible, but probable. It's like part of my daily life. It's just an example. But yeah, if you're around people that genuinely care, that genuinely want to help, and it's a place they go to give, not a place they go to receive, then you're in the right group. If you can't find that, seek a mentor that really wants to help grow you directly and personally and hold you accountable, like a physical trainer, right? Yeah. Or a weight loss program that makes you weigh in and holds you accountable to all the things that you want to do, right? Yeah,
exactly. And I think when you are an entrepreneur, and let's say you have a successful idea or you have what you feel is a little bit of a niche idea, obviously you want to be real guarded with that,
right?
Because that's your secret sauce. That's what makes you successful. But being guarded about that also means you don't have the opportunity to get feedback from others that might have valuable input.
That's a great point.
So you've got to find a little tribe. I always call it a tribe because there's an element of trust, and this mastermind is one that you and I are part of. But we have that. We have a room full of about 30 people, and there's no competition between us. You can speak freely. You can bounce ideas back and forth, and not worry that somebody's going to take your idea.
Right.
But man, the community, and I mean, what would you say to somebody who, has the opportunity to maybe be a part of either a mastermind or some other type similar group?
I would say don't walk but run, because there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one is we get mired in the day-to-day grind of doing our business, so we're always working in it, and we very rarely step back and get to work on it. And it's moments that you come to these events where you start looking at the bigger picture, the vision, the strategy, and that really helps you kind of refocus your efforts properly and allocate your resources properly. I know that you personally have had multiple events that you went back and made dramatic changes that had immediate impacts to your bottom line. Immediate. And those have been incredible. And I don't know if there's someone as intentional as you at these events to actually implement the ideas immediately to generate the ROI. So that's number one. Am I right on that?
You are. Joe and I are very adamant about that. A lot of times in these meetings, we're texting back and forth saying, did you write that one down? Because I'm writing it.
Yeah, that's a double red underline.
That's a double red underline. We're writing that one down. I also realize that you get stirred up. You get
that's the number two.
Yeah.
You get the emotion. And you can kind of get, the daily grind can get a little monotonous. And you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and just need something to inject some passion, inspiration. You know what I mean? And some of the stories we hear from some of these people are just incredible, and some of the triumph that they had over these major challenges, and the way that people are giving, that it makes you want to go back and do big things.
It does. But what happens a lot of times when people leave these events and they're all fired up, but then they get back, and then what happens?
Well, they sort of go back and they see a stack of paperwork
that they missed
for 3 or 4 days. And so after they're done playing catch up on that, the other work hasn't stopped coming in. They lose a little bit of that momentum, I think, that emotional momentum that gets them to, push these ideas along. And then maybe after a week or 2 weeks, when they get a chance to talk to their team, they sort of forget some of the ideas that they had. It's well, if you could have heard him say it, you would be in.
Yeah, trust me, it was really powerful in the moment. I know I'm not saying it right.
Yeah, you had to be there. But and then so I highly recommend. This is a great idea. Is never leave the scene of a good idea without some action towards its attainment, and that's usually writing it down and writing a date by which you want it done. And maybe assigning a responsibility to somebody. Hey, it's your job to do this for me.
Some accountability.
Back, right? Whatever it is. And y'all and Xavier's here getting to participate in some of these things now.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible. That's why I've started bringing more of my teammates, is because I wanted more people to hear it, so that it wasn't one message coming back saying we need to do this. I'm saying, guys, we need to all do this, right? And they're heads are nodding, and let's get on the same boat together.
Because it does no good to have all of the inspiration and the great ideas in the world if you can't get your team on board.
Right.
And, we get to go to these beautiful places, and we get to do these honestly fun events.
This is awful. What do you mean?
I know.
Work events.
And they're back home doing the show.
Right.
And then we come back with a new suntan, and and we're like, okay, guys, you're gonna be you're gonna be fired up. Just listen to this, and they're like, oh my god, Kelly and Joe are on another trip. What are we gonna have to do?
A hard eye roll.
So you have to find a way to bring the team, and it's not logistically or financially possible to bring an entire team to every single event.
Right.
But you gotta find a way to get them enthusiastic and to get them on board
and get them to feel like they own part of the process. I mean, if they feel like they are contributing to the growth and development of it, then they're going to take ownership, and they're going to push hard for its success. If they feel like they're being drug along, then they might even make it more difficult to achieve the results.
So a recent idea that we implemented that had to do with just kind of an unreasonable hospitality came from the Unreasonable Hospitality book.
Yeah.
But obviously, Joe and I are fired up about the idea, but we kind of gave it to the team, and the desired result is exactly what happened. Because when the first time that one of the team members got the actual feeling of demonstrating this act of kindness or hospitality toward one of our customers, they got to experience the reward that came from it, the customer's appreciation and all that. Even though the idea came from above, the execution was there, and they got the reward of the customer going, oh my God, I cannot believe it. It just, and hugging and handshaking. And so he felt good.
Right.
So now he's all on board with this idea. He's like, oh man, that was awesome. Let's do it again. So whatever the execution is, whatever the idea, I mean, you got to have your team passionate about it.
Yeah, and I know, just speaking directly for the mattress category, there's not a lot of industries, maybe like pastor or surgeon, that you can make such a dramatic
That
effect on
lend
someone's
itself,
life
yeah.
in such a small amount of time, right?
Yeah.
With what you can
We can
do to
actually
help
change
someone.
lives.
Yeah, so
with better
in
sleep.
45 minutes, unless you're a surgeon or a pastor, maybe you can, but we can actually do something that filters down to dramatically improve the quality of someone's life. And I think that if you have the mentality that you're coming in here with problems and I'm here to save you, like it's my job to make sure that you get my 100%. And I don't care if you come in for the $69 twin size doorbuster, or if you came in looking for the holy cow golden bed that I have in the back on a pedestal spinning around. I want to make sure that you get every single ounce of everything I have, because I know that if I'm successful, you're going to come back and thank me for the great night's sleep you're getting and how important that is in your life.
And you made a good reference there, and we think about it sometimes. Like you go to a doctor, we've all had the experience of going to a doctor and feeling like we weren't heard. Feeling like you were just the next customer,
right?
Instead of an individual with health problems that you're actually worried about and symptoms that you don't understand what they are, and you've made the mistake of going on and Googling, and the doctor's smarter than Google, but at the same time the doctor's concerned. So you just don't feel heard, and they write a prescription and they throw it at you, and you leave, and you're like, do they even remember that they saw me today?
Yeah, probably.
Versus going to a doctor who sits down and listens, and maybe even contradicts an idea that you walked in with, but they have a reason for it, and they say, well, Brandon, here's what I really feel based on what you're saying, and here's what I think might help. Man,
that's really interesting.
The feeling of going to a doctor and getting treatment like that, it's different. So when they come in a mattress store, or when they come to you for services, and they get treated like an individual and they feel heard, it creates a whole different product. And I don't care what industry you're in. And in my case, it's mattresses, yours marketing. It could be whatever.
And I hope that whatever industry these listeners are in, whether it's water purifiers or solar panels or whatever it is you're in, that you have that kind of passion for the impact that your products and services can have in people's lives.
Yeah.
Because if you have that, you're gonna be relentless in your pursuit of delivering on those value props.
And every industry out there is serving a need that customer had. So, we have a sleep need. You have the marketing need. People drive vehicles. They need to get from point A to point B, and security systems, whatever product it is that you're offering, or whatever idea you have, it's filling a need. And those needs are had by human beings.
Right.
And those humans have stories and personalities. They're not all the same.
Right. So, well, the number one sales book I ever read, in my opinion, was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
And then right after that, I read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Uh-huh.
So 7 Habits was great because it says start with the end in mind, right? You think about your funeral and then you think about the people at your funeral, and then you work your life backwards. How did we get here? How do we make that happen, right? And then in Men Are From Mars, Dr. John Gray says, first seek to understand, then to be understood. And I feel like salespeople want to be understood first.
Yep.
I want you to understand how smart I am. And I want you to understand that you need to listen to me, and I'm going to be teaching you how to buy a bed. But if you take the exact opposite approach, well, I'm first seeking to understand my customers, then to be understood. First off, they're going to feel like they were heard. They're going to feel like you care. And then guess what? They're going to trust you.
Yeah. And I feel like we live in a world where people are so rarely heard. I mean, I'm going to get a little philosophical for a second, but I feel like, people are so mean on the internet, but there's a root cause that they don't feel like they're heard. So they got to get online and they got to blast. They got to just be assertive of some opinion because they can't get heard in any other kind of way. And we just live in a world where everybody's so self-centered and nobody stops and listens to the people around them. And it's such a rare trait. And if you can offer that in a business, whatever business you have, I just feel like that is such a key ingredient to success.
One of my favorite people in the world gave me a compliment I will never forget. This person said, every time you talk to me, I feel like, I know you got a lot of clients, but I feel like I'm the only client you have. And that was Kelly Charles said that to me no, this was not M3. This was before M3. This is Kinetic. Yeah, Kinetic customer. And I dang near started crying up there. And I was like, wow, that hit hard. So thank you. So
but it's true.
But if you're intentional about that and you have locked in focus, then I feel like you've already got an advantage over all your competition that's trying to be heard instead of trying to listen.
That's right. Because people will never forget how you make them feel. They forget what you say and do.
Right.
But how you make them feel, they will never forget it. Good or bad.
Good or bad. Yeah,
good or bad.
That can go the wrong way too.
Yeah, it totally can. I was in a store making an exchange the other day, and I had, my receipt and all the tags were attached, and I didn't think it was going to be a problem just to exchange. I just needed another size, and they had it there on the shelf. It wasn't a clearance item. It was still a full price item. And to me, that seemed like a simple transaction.
Right.
But the way the staff made me feel, like I was burdening them, like, I didn't realize they had a 30-day policy. I don't live close to the store, and it had been like 40 days. And that's cool. I mean, I could have just not made the exchange if that was not their policy. But instead they're all, well, we'll make an exception for you this time. And, just made me feel like I was some kind of criminal trying to pull one over on them. And I'm like, dude, I just wanted to exchange something. And, I didn't know it was outside of 30 days.
Right.
Just tell me I can't do it, but don't make me feel this way.
Right. Yeah. And that might be the last time you go shop there, because
exactly.
you feel kind of embarrassed that you went in and violated their policy.
That's
and they made
exactly
you feel bad.
right. And it's a store I shop at a lot, and I can't even remember, like, I couldn't pick out of a lineup probably the ladies that were working there that day.
Man.
So it's not about them as individuals, but it's about how I felt going in there. And you're right.
So this kind of also trickles into other conversations, because we've had countless conversations over coffee and other beverages about hiring the right people, having the right people at your job.
Yes.
That sort of represent the brand.
Yes.
All the way down.
Your values.
All
your
the way to
culture.
the people that are touching all your customers.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you have to have addition by subtraction, and hiring the right people is very hard. So we know that, it takes years to build a great reputation and moments to destroy it. And you can have a bad person with a bad attitude that's just not on board and just destroys it. So unfortunately, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, totally. And hiring is one of the scariest things that you have to do as a business owner, because you understand the gravity. You're putting your reputation, your culture, your everything that you have worked so hard to build, everything we've talked about in this conversation boils down to you are handing it to this person and hoping they handle it correctly.
Right.
And don't ruin art or whatever, of anything that you've built. Such a scary thing. You guys went through a process. You were telling me about, talk about that for just a second, because I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, the disc assessment process. Yeah. So I had never done this before. I've heard about it for years. Mattress Firm have done this for years, but basically it's a personality assessment.
Yeah.
And it's DISC, and those are short for D is for a dominant type of personalities, I is for the influencer type of personality, S is for like the empath. Like someone that's more empathetic and just connected to people. And then C is more like the logic, numbers focused person.
Okay.
And we took this, we took a whole Thursday. Brent said, I'm going to run a whole disc on all of us and understand who we are, how we act, how we like to communicate, so we can better understand how to, work together, but also understand the kinds of personalities that we're going to need when we start hiring for new roles. And it was such an eye-opening day everyone was so excited to put down their ideas and learn and collaborate and build this whole program, and get to know how other people respond positively or negatively to different criticisms, that we're going to be offering this for customers, because that's how big of an impact it was for us.
Wow.
We hope it helps other people. And we've also, as a result of that Thursday, we have every Thursday now for 30 to 45 minutes where we do follow-ups of the disc assessment on how are we making sure that we implement this, because it's that important to make sure that we're communicating properly and hiring the right people properly. We say put the right people in the boat, with the right motivations, head in the right direction, all that thing, right? And frankly, I looked at this and said, kind of got lucky that the disc assessments sort of pointed that the people that we have in the positions are in the right positions for their personalities.
Yeah. But also told you who you needed to hire, because I know you're growing and you're hiring.
It did.
So it gives you a clear picture of who's the right person, because that's an emotional decision too. I mean, you interview people, sometimes you just like somebody a lot, and it's hard to know, wanting to hire them because I like them, or are they really going to be right for the position I need? So that was useful exercise. But to take a whole day for your team to do that, and not answer the emails and not answer the phone calls and just set aside the time to do that, that can be hard in itself.
Yeah, and hiring someone when you're a small business is the single biggest impact to your business.
Sure is.
You can make a great hire and it can double or triple your business, and you can make a crappy hire and it can cost you a lot of money and time and heartache. So these decisions should not be made lightly, and if some information is good, more is better.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Brandon, I know we got an event to get to, and I think they're getting breakfast ready for us over there. But you and I could just sit and talk all day.
I know.
I know, and I'm so thankful. Thank you so much. This is actually take 2. We tried to do this yesterday, and then user error on my part. I didn't.
It's okay.
I didn't operate the software correctly. So,
well, I tell you what, I've enjoyed both of the conversations, and I've enjoyed watching the program. I learn a lot from these. I love the fact that they're not always like mattress people. I know you know a lot of mattress people, but they're different categories, different industries as well, because it helps us, extrapolate lessons from those industries that we can use ourselves. So I absolutely love that.
Lessons in ownership that apply to anybody.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
the goal. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Let's have a great breakfast and a great rest of our week here in Palm
Yes,
Springs.
and I would be remiss if I didn't say, Mark Hensley, Nothing Else Mattress is a derivation of Metallica. Although it was a good try. It was a good try.
It is. I didn't want to make a correction there.
I'll call him out.
Yeah, it was Metallica.
Although we love Queen. Don't get it.
We do love Queen. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.